Hello, and welcome to Movies for Dumb Guys. I'm your host, Joe Johnson. And tonight I am joined by Ryan Sharp.
Kick his ass, Seabass.
And Richie Rollins.
That's right. It's Double R back from Comic Experience Sci-Fi to bring you some truth.
All right, let's get to that truth. Now, on this podcast, we pretty much, for the most part, have stuck to talking about our favorite films. But I think it's time to acknowledge those thespians, the artists that give us the performances in our favorite films that make them so special. So tonight we are going to recognize the greatest athletes that have ever appeared in a film. You guys ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to go right to number one on my list. And not only is this a great character, but I really think on my list of athletes who have acted in movies, I think this guy is the best actor out of the entire bunch. Let me play a little
This is going to be terrible.
clip here.
No newspapers, just you and me.
That's it, just you and me. Age before beauty.
Anything you say, Stallion.
I do all the work, okay? I'll tell you, pal, you better go slow because you ain't as young as springtime no more.
I'm still young enough to whip your butt, Stallion.
Oh, yeah? Well, how you gonna do that? You taught me everything you know.
Almost everything. You gotta remember now, you fight great, but I'm a great fighter. Huh? You ready?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. You know, Stallion, it's too bad we gotta get old, huh?
Just keep punching, Apollo. Want to ring the bell?
All right. Ding,
Ding.
ding.
And the award for longest clip ever goes to...
I know, I was about to
Oh,
say
I got-
something. I was about to
I
say,
got
hey.
some long clips ready
thought we
to
were
go
watching
today.
the whole movie.
I mean, people are like, forget this podcast. It's just one long clip.
Of the entire Rocky series, that's one of my favorite Apollo Rocky moments when it's just the two of them in the ring and then there's that freeze frame. And I would love to see the footage, what happened right after that freeze frame. Did they land those punches or did they whiff? But that's a great moment of those two just together, no media. Carl Weathers, who you might be asking yourself, is he an athlete?
Football player.
He played football for the Oakland Raiders, played some Canadian football for a while,
4 years, actually.
and then decided to become an actor. And I think he is a terrific actor. Not only was he great in the entire Rocky franchise as Apollo Creed, I loved him in Predator as Dylan, and who can forget Happy Gilmore?
Chubbs.
He was fantastic in Happy Gilmore. So different than what we had seen of him as an action star. He was able to pull off comedy as well.
Made of wood. Real strong.
So, Carl Weathers, did he make your list, Ryan?
He absolutely made my list in the top 10, probably in the top 5, actually. And just for the same reasons that you just went over. Rocky is a favorite of mine, of course. I think that he was the best villain and the best like turnaround as well, where he became the good guy that you started rooting for. You said it, Happy Gilmore. What a great role he had. How hilarious was he? And pulled it off. Yeah, he's on my list.
If you go online, you could find him talking about how he got the Rocky role, and he just went in arrogant and cocky, and they said that's exactly what we want in this character. And I thought in the first Rocky movie, he was fantastic. And when he went into the ring with Rocky and Rocky knocked him on his butt, I was on my feet cheering. And I just think it's a great performance that carried on all the way through Rocky IV.
You brought it up about the casting of him. That's one of the great stories that I think of often when we talk about backstories. How he was doing a table read with Sylvester Stallone and was like, "Can you get a real actor in here? Because I can't act like this guy's not doing it for me. I want to audition with a real actor." Not knowing who. Well, I mean, he wasn't anybody at the time, but not knowing he was the
star,
the writer, and going to be the role of Rocky. So
yeah,
that's a great backstory.
Richie, your thoughts on Carl Weathers?
You made my top 10 list, definitely. always been a big fan of his. I loved his character in Rocky. Really carried it right through the growth and the arc through all 4 movies there, and of course Predator and Happy Gilmore. And I wish he would have been in more roles. I'd like
I
to see him in
agree.
a lot more roles out
Expect
there.
him to be a bigger action star.
I seem to have lost him after Predator and picked him back up at Happy Gilmore. I can't think of anything.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong,
top
but
of
I
my head.
think he did a starring role in a movie called Action Jackson,
Okay.
which I never got
Yeah.
around to seeing. I'm going to have to check that out, but apparently that never
I vaguely
materialized.
can remember that. I was very young then. Yeah,
Yeah.
vaguely remember. But
So yeah, on my list, Carl Weathers, the greatest athlete to ever act in a movie. Moving on to number 2, this was a tough decision. Rich, I'm sure you're going to have an opinion on this. When I think about individual performances in movies and how they moved me, number 2 is. Oh, let me play a little scene for you. Get cozy. This clip might be a little long.
here we
too.
go. 20-minute clip.
Just one person for so long. Been specializing in drugs, battling gangs for local charities, that kind of thing.
Why should that make such a difference?
When you see, you use different moves when you're fighting. Half a dozen people. Then we only have to be one. About one.
I do not envy you the headache you will have when you awake. But in the meantime, rest well and dream of large women.
Andre the Giant, his role in The Princess Bride was surprisingly moving. Yeah, it was a little difficult to understand what he was saying at times. I'm glad they didn't dub in his voice with somebody else. But I absolutely love his tender, sweet performance in The Princess Bride. If you watch the Andre the Giant documentary on HBO, they talk about that time period in his life when he played this role. He was in very poor health. His back and everything was giving out on him. So believe it or not, in that scene that I just played where he's fighting Dread Pirate Roberts, they actually had to use a stunt double in some of the scenes, or in some of those scenes in the fight sequence because he was in such poor health. So imagine Andre the Giant needed a stunt double. That's pretty shocking. But I absolutely loved his performance in this movie. I don't think he ever acted in another film that I'm aware of. Yeah, as far as athletes go, now some people, looking at you, Rich, like WWE wrestlers shouldn't count as athletes, and I disagree with that. Now, yes, wrestling is entertainment. Some people say it shouldn't be a sport, but it is entertainment. But you cannot argue that the people who wrestle in the WWE are not athletes. They are athletes. They're Adonises.
Well, I would say if you're talking about professional athletes, then I would say no. Athletes, yes, they are athletes, but if you're going to compare them to being an athlete, which they are just choreographed stuntmen who do dances in a ring, then we have to sit there and say Ryan Reynolds. We have to add his name to this
Why?
list.
Now, why?
Because he's
Ryan
an
Reynolds?
athlete. He got in shape. He worked out. He got just like a wrestler. Got in shape, worked out, did a choreographed dance in front of the camera.
I disagree. Ryan, what are your thoughts on this? Is a
Wrestling
professional wrestler
is not a sport.
I'm not saying it is a sport, but how can you say that a wrestler is not an athlete?
Well, so I understand both arguments, actually, Joe. I tend to side with you on this one. I think that you have to be extremely athletic and an athlete to do what they do. And there's all sorts of different sports combined into one, from gymnastics to wrestling. And wrestling is an Olympic sport. Yeah, it's different than the show wrestling of the WWE. But even a lot of those guys that are now, in the WWE, they came from the background of like an Olympic wrestler. So I totally think that they're an athlete.
Name
100%.
Name one outside of Kurt Angle. It's an Olympic
It's
wrestler.
It's scripted.
And we're not supposed to use high school wrestling, high school baseball players, high school anything.
Well, regardless, I still think that they're athletes 100%. It's scripted, yes. They know who's going to win and everything.
The parameters set on this was so broad that you could actually say just about anybody. You could even go to not Kurt Russell because he was a professional athlete, but we can actually go to Kevin Costner, who was great in high school, or Tommy Lee Jones, who was a great athlete in high school, and he became an actor.
I thought I had narrowed the parameters down to professional athletes.
Wrestler is not a professional athlete.
I disagree.
He's a professional
They get
stuntman.
paid to do what they're doing.
He's a professional stuntman.
I would like to see you say that to a wrestler's face.
I will.
And my other argument for including WWE wrestlers is I don't think I would be able to complete a top 10 list of greatest performances by athletes in movies without including wrestlers, without digging in the bottom of the barrel.
We have to go to. I can't do a Donald Trump.
Now,
if I could do a Donald Trump impression, I'd be like, #sad.
Before we move on to number 3 on my list, do you agree that Andre the Giant, his performance in The Princess Bride, deserves to be on this list?
No.
Why is that?
I agree that they're athletes. I don't agree. I thought it was terrible. What are you talking about? You can't understand them.
Wow.
He was great in it.
Great. Well, and I also don't like the movie, so that's a double whammy there.
Rich,
I went by when I went through my parameters, is I went by people who have actual like acting career, not just one thing. But
Well, see, that's where I differ.
But- I also, in one of the texts that we sent, I say, all right, professional athletes, wrestlers, and Olympians, because Olympians are just amateur athletes. Then I was like, all right, with those 3 parameters, I would put Andre the Giant in my top 10 for that performance because it was an excellent performance.
yeah, and that's kind of what I focused on my list were individual performances in a film, not necessarily a body of work, even though Carl Weathers, I think, would qualify for that.
Definitely.
But I wanted to look at individual performances that really stood out for me personally.
And that's how I took it too. And while my list is mixed with both people that are now well-known actors like Carl Weathers and one-hit wonders like Andre the Giant, I have a nice mix of that. I based
too.
it off of individual performances. Who had the best performance?
Great. Now, number 3 on my list, this one qualifies despite the fact that he is also a WWE wrestler.
I smell what you're cooking
I'm going to
already.
play a clip, even though he has a huge body of work.
You're under arrest. Toretto,
Oops, there we go.
you're under arrest.
Arrest? I don't feel like I'm under arrest. How about you, Brian?
Nah, not a bit. Not even a little bit.
I'll just give it a minute. It'll sink in.
Even though Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has a huge body of work and a lot of things I've enjoyed watching him in, my favorite performance from The Rock is Luke Hobbs from Fast 5, which is his first entry in the Fast and Furious movies, and then he stuck around and has appeared in every film since then. And he is also going to get a spin-off with Jason Statham. So that's my favorite performance. But he obviously has become one of the biggest movie stars in the world. And not only was he a WWE wrestler, but he also played football. And there's no denying that the guy is a tremendous athlete. Ryan, where does The Rock fall on your list?
On my foot. No. He's definitely on my list. But I don't know what performance I would pick because I like him in a lot of different roles. I know where this is movies, but I love him on Ballers. I love him in his comedic roles. I thought when he did Central Intelligence, while I didn't love that movie, I liked the movie. I
The one
thought,
with Kevin Hart?
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought how over the top and nerdy he was, and wearing the unicorn shirts and stuff. I thought it was hysterical, and I thought he did a great job doing that. And
I might be
like
one
it.
of the few people who liked Baywatch.
I like Baywatch too. I thought he did a great job there as well. I like his versatility because he can be the badass, he can be the action star, he can be a comedic actor. So, we'll see if he can ever do drama, but definitely on my list, and I definitely a very talented person in general, from sports to his acting ability.
When I saw him in person, oops,
Ow!
something there.
God, my foot.
He was plugging Jumanji. Now, I haven't seen Jumanji, but I would think a lot of people agree that that might be a favorite among fans. People seem to love Jumanji.
You haven't seen that?
Did we
Never
see
saw
it in person
Jumanji.
together? That was in L.A.?
Yeah, that was in L.A. at the con. Yeah,
Right.
hold on. Let me.
Yeah, I was about 10 feet away from him.
Yeah.
I-
Did he make your list there, Richie?
He most definitely did, former CFL player. Number 4 on my list. I really enjoyed him in Be Cool. When I saw him in Be Cool, I was like, he can actually leave wrestling and be an actor back then.
The Mummy didn't do it.
The Scorpion King.
That didn't
Well,
make
that's
you
the
believe.
interesting thing. Even though technically his first appearance in a film was The Mummy 2, it was primarily CGI,
Right.
which is kind of odd. And then they did the sequel, I guess, to
yeah.
that Scorpion King, where he did a live action thing. But it's very odd that his first appearance in a film was
Primarily
CGI.
CGI.
Now, he had done some TV stuff before that, but
Yes.
Mummy 2 was his first official role in a film. So
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah,
we could go on and on. Moana.
I've not seen Moana yet.
I can't believe you haven't seen Jumanji, Joe. That shocks me. It was
Jumanji was really good. He
it
was
was
really good
really
at
good.
Jumanji, and I agree with Joe with his...
the whole cast was good.
oh, man.
all right, putting some thought into it. Number 4 on my list. Again,
already at
it's
4?
for one role, but the same role has appeared in 2 movies. I want to play some of my favorite lines from this athlete actor's performance.
I'm stunned. I don't know who it is.
Humility. I like it. I, too, am extraordinarily humble.
Why aren't you wearing one of Rocket's arrow rings?
It hurts. I have sensitive nipples. You just need to find a woman who is pathetic. Like you.
She just told everyone your deepest, darkest secret. You must be so embarrassed.
That was awesome!
Yes.
That is Dave Bautista in Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, a former WWE wrestler. I love his performance in these movies. Who would have figured he'd provide the comic relief in these movies? Getting some of the biggest laughs in those 2 movies. Love the character of Drax. I remember being in the theater, seeing Guardians of the Galaxy for the first time. I didn't know what to expect. The trailers looked horrible to me, but that was one of those moments where I just said, all right, I'm not going to question Marvel. I'm just going to go in and see what they got. And Guardians of the Galaxy just absolutely blew me away. So number 4 on my list, Dave Bautista as Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy. Ryan, your thoughts?
I thought he did a great performance. He didn't make my list, though, but I thought it was a great performance.
Richie?
He didn't make my list only because of the parameters, but I will say I was a big The Animal wrestling fan, and he actually shocked me when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy. I was like shocked. I was like, you wouldn't expect it. I watched him wrestle for years and perform, and he was great there. But just for him to be an actor and to reach out the way he did and play that character, like I did not recognize Dave Bautista, The Animal. He was that character, and that's like for The Rock, the Be Cool movie for me with Dave Bautista. He can act.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to see him like in a starring role.
Yeah. Now, I'm trying to think if he appeared in another movie. Was he in a Fast and Furious movie? I'm gonna have to look that up. But
I think so. He's appeared in quite a few things.
yeah. All right, so that's number 4 on my list. Now I'm gonna do my number 5 before we go around the table. Again, this is one of my favorite performances, single performances by an athlete in a movie. Now, I can't say his acting was great, but the scene is hysterical. Let me play this moment for you.
Wait a minute. I know you. You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You play basketball for the Los Angeles Lakers.
I'm sorry, son, but you must have me confused with someone else. My name is Roger Murdoch. I'm the co-pilot.
You are Kareem. I've seen you play. My dad's got season tickets.
I think you should go back to your seat now, Joey. Right, Clarence?
Oh, he's not bothering anyone. Let him stay here.
All right, but just remember, my name is Roger Murdoch. I'm an airline pilot.
I think you're the greatest, but my dad says you don't work hard enough on defense. And he says that lots of times you don't even run down court. And that you don't really try, except during the playoffs.
The hell I don't. Listen, kid. I've been hearing that crap ever since I was at UCLA. I'm out there busting my buns every night. Tell your old man to drag Walton and Lanier up and down the court for 48 minutes.
I love that scene in Airplane. Laugh out loud funny. Not the greatest acting performance in the world, but man, that was funny. Some of you might not know that the first major movie that Kareem appeared in was against Bruce Lee.
Yes, I do know
in
that.
Game of Death.
Yes.
He was a martial artist.
Mm-hmm.
Big, tall guy.
We knew it.
Great scene. Great moment.
That is actually the moment I liked Kareem the most in.
Yeah. So that's the highest ranking NBA player. Now, you guys probably are going to have an argument for some other NBA players, but that's my favorite moment by an NBA player on my list. Ryan, your thoughts on Kareem's career-killing role in Airplane?
Kareem did not make my list with his best performance.
Come on, kid.
That was awful. What are you talking about?
You
Best
have
performance
to
by an athlete.
admit,
That was just
it's hilarious.
That was the worst.
I love when he goes, "The hell I don't," and he grabs the kid by the
At
shirt.
least I didn't know what Andre the Giant was saying, but at least he had some like flow to him. He wasn't just reading a line off a piece of paper.
There's a moment where it looks like Kareem is looking over to cue card. His eyes
probably
kinda
was.
dance over to a cue card, but that's one of my favorite moments by an athlete in a movie. All right, so that's my top 5. And so we're going to go around the table, and if we have time, come back to me. I'll give my bottom 5 and honorable mentions. So, Ryan, who's number 1 on your list of best performances by an athlete in a film?
So, best performances by an athlete in a film. I'm going with, this one's going to be a little outside the box, and his whole body of work I'm a fan of, and he did mostly TV. But he did have a couple roles, and I liked him equally in different roles, and that is Ed O'Neill. So
Ed O'Neill,
oh, yeah,
Ed O'Neill,
yeah.
yes, he played football.
Yep.
Yes,
Yes, he
Ed
did.
O'Neill.
He's
played
actually
football.
on my
And
he's
he
actually
did
on
not-
my honorable mention list.
He didn't score 4 touchdowns in a single game, but he actually did play football.
Oh, wow.
Got cut
So-
by Pittsburgh, right? Got cut by
So,
Pittsburgh.
He played pro football?
He was. Let me look it up. It was a
Got
pro.
cut, he got cut by Pittsburgh.
I didn't see his name come up on
He signed
any list.
he signed a contract and then I guess he got cut.
Now,
Let me pull it up.
my disbelief isn't so much that he was an athlete, but what movies was Ed O'Neill in?
He was in The Adventures of Ford Fairlane with Andrew Dice Clay.
All right.
Which he had. It wasn't. I mean, the movie sucks, but his role was great. He was a detective in it, and like when there's a part where Andrew Dice Clay is giving him crap, and he was like a former like kind of star kind of thing, and he was known for this thing called Booty Time. He's like booty time, across USA.
Did he
It's
do that
hilarious.
in Married with Children too?
He
That
might have.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, he might have.
Booty time.
Was he in Finding Dory?
And then I'm not sure. You have to look at that. And then he starred in the role Dutch, where
I vaguely remember that.
he had to take the kid across country, and
He was in Entourage.
hilarious with that. Yeah, I mean, he did a little cameo in Entourage.
As himself?
He was
Or-
like in, he was like Ari cut him off in the parking lot at the
Oh,
studio
Ari
or
He was
something
Mr.
like that.
Litwack and Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Now,
he was
have you ranked these, or is that just the first name you've thrown out? Because
no,
I find it hard to believe that's number 1 on your list.
I think he's a great actor. This is
Oh,
best
he is. No
performances. so-
dispute that he's a great actor.
How are you going to try to come at me when you just picked Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
I'm just trying to get inside your head here.
I thought
That is so obscure, man. That just
He was in
surprised
Blue
the
Chips.
hell out of me.
Little
he
Giants, Wayne's World too.
so he was in Wayne's World.
In
too?
Wayne's World as well. Yep.
Yeah, he was at Stan Mikita's. How could I forget that? He was the.
Yep.
You ever ripped a man's heart out and watched it beat in front? You don't remember?
I don't remember that, but wow, I'll have to go back.
That's
and
where
watch
Wayne
that.
is like, "Hello, you can't talk to the camera. Only me and Garth can talk to the camera." Yeah,
That's awesome.
just a great performer. So, and like I said, it's kind of based on his whole body of work, but I think he did amazing jobs in all of them.
That's awesome. I love that pick.
Good. Then why are you giving me such crap for it?
I'm trying to figure it out, but that's awesome.
I did have in my honorable mention. I like a few of his
That's
names
neat.
he did.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Number 2.
Number 2 would have been Carl Weathers. Number 3, I'm going with, and again, based on individual performance here, this one is Cam Neely, Hall of Fame hockey player.
Okay.
And he played Seabass on Dumb and Dumber.
Okay.
You guys are looking at me.
I don't have a single hockey player on my list,
Yeah,
but
I don't either.
Well, you suck.
Missed out on
so Cam Neely.
Cam Neely
in Dumb and Dumber.
Seabass. You know you know this role, right?
I've seen Dumb and Dumber like once, and I thought it was
you-
okay.
Why do I even talk to you? I swear to God.
I mean, that show. I mean, it kind of goes with our show, movies for dumb guys.
Yeah.
So Dumb and Dumber, it was a great performance. He was the bully that was, they throw the salt shaker in the diner and it hits him. And he's like, he gets up and is going to beat him up. And then they make him pay for his meal inadvertently. And then he shows up at the glory hole later with Jim Carrey. And his name was Seabass. And that's where Kick Your Ass Seabass comes from. I thought it was a great performance and a very memorable character to everybody except for, I guess, you guys.
I will say this. I applaud your research to this topic. Man, you are impressing the hell out of me right now.
Man, Cam Neely.
You dug into this.
He's been pulling shit out of his ass for a while.
I didn't have to even research this Cam Neely. Dumb and Dumber with Cam Neely and
just
Seabass
jumped right
is
out
like
at you.
yeah, Cam Neely.
This is right down his
Seabass.
power alley.
Yeah.
Love
yeah.
it.
Exactly.
I'm
Get on right,
impressed. I wish I had some sound bites, but
Yeah.
all right.
performed it for
And next
you.
up on your list.
Next up on my list, and this one is really difficult for me to say out loud because I do not like this athlete at all. One of my all-time hated athletes.
Terry Bradshaw?
No.
How dare you?
Love
I don't know.
Terry Bradshaw. It's LeBron James.
All right. I might have a clip ready to go if you tell me what movie.
I thought he did an amazing job, and I was really blown away and thought he was hilarious in the movie Trainwreck.
Cleveland, Ohio? You talking about the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Or maybe we go down to Canton to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You know Superman was created in Cleveland?
Yeah, no, I know Superman was created in Cleveland. You've told me that a number of times.
You ever seen Cuyahoga Hogan's Sunset?
No.
Do you know Cleveland's great for the whole family?
Yes, I do. You tell me that all the time. You randomly just text me that.
And what's
which
wrong
is
with that?
Weird. It's weird.
I got free texting.
Why are you trying to always sell me on Cleveland?
When are you gonna come to Cleveland?
I'll come when I have the time. I just don't have the time right now. I'll come when I have the time. I've just been really busy.
You visit me in Miami all the time.
Yeah, but that's Miami.
What's the difference between Miami and Cleveland? It's the same.
You're right, it's the same.
Exactly.
Wow. That was almost forgettable.
What? What do you mean it was on the movie or his performance?
I forgot he was in it.
He was hilarious in it.
He actually was very good in it.
Yeah, it was great acting. It was a great script. I like how they portrayed him where like he was a cheap ass and wouldn't pay for anything. And like, you're getting this, right? I left my wallet in the car. Like, I thought he did an amazing job. And that's hard for me to say, like I said, because I don't like him in any other aspect.
Yeah, he was on my honorable mention list. I thought that was a great performance in Trainwreck. All right, is that your top 5?
Let's see. Carl Weathers, Adonio, Cam Neely, LeBron. That was 4.
All right, and number 5.
Number 5, and you guys probably are not going to even know who this guy is. He was a professional skateboarder, and it was Jason Lee.
Now, I've seen him as I was sitting on my computer Googling athletes and movies. His name came up repeatedly, which I did not know he was a pro skateboarder.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Because he did such a good job as an actor.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, you'd think of him as an actor first, but
Yes.
he's one of my favorite actors. I
He's great.
loved him on what was the TV show? That
My
he
Name
did
is
that?
Earl.
My Name is Earl. He was fantastic in that.
Absolutely.
So what are some of one of your favorite Jason Lee movie performances?
Well, he's been in more than you probably think, but my favorite is Mallrats. Kevin Smith.
Oh yeah.
I just thought his character was amazing. I thought he pulled it off great. He did he was that person. Like he fit it, from top to bottom. So I loved him in that. He was great in Almost Famous.
Nope.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was in the band, one of the band members, right?
Enemy
Great
of the
movie.
State. He was good in.
He was good in that too.
He was even good as I don't like these movies, but he was even good as Dave Seville in Alvin and the Chipmunks. So,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So
they were forgettable.
Yeah. Well, I can never forget them because I have children that like to watch them repeatedly when they came out. So, I could probably quote the stupid things, but
he was on my honorable mention list.
Yeah, no, I thought he did a great job.
Yes, I love Jason.
Big fan.
All right, very interesting list there.
Interesting list, Ryan.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Throw it over to Richie. Richie, throw out your favorite performance by an athlete in a movie.
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
Love Bruce Lee.
Okay. Throw some titles at me. What's your favorite Bruce Lee title?
Oh, man, Game of Death is the best. Love
I
that
disagree. I like Game of Death, but I got to say, was it Fist of Fury where he's on the island?
Fist of Fury is very good.
That's my
too.
favorite Bruce Lee movie.
Yep, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Bruce Lee.
Ryan,
Ryan,
loved
your
it when
thoughts on
he
Bruce
kicked,
Lee?
He kicked Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he beat him and Chuck Norris went at it.
Definitely a better actor.
He
Definitely
was.
better actor. He made my list as well. I don't have a specific movie though, but definitely great.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
I like when he didn't he like rip out a fistful of Chuck Norris's chest hair.
Yes,
that was
classic.
hysterical.
That was classic.
God, it's amazing that Chuck Norris is still going strong after all these years.
I think Chuck Norris had to lose weight for that role.
Yeah.
They made him lose weight because it was too big or something. Like, too unrealistic that Bruce can beat him.
Yeah.
Because probably in real life, Chuck could probably beat Bruce.
Is Chuck on your list?
What?
Well, it's funny you should say that.
Because he's got same. I don't want to say same credentials, but he's a martial arts.
Number 3 on my list.
There you go.
You
Chuck
know?
Norris.
What was? Now I'm getting brain farting on his movie that I liked so much.
There was the USA one. What is it?
The Commando one, where he's a commando or something.
Yeah, it has USA in the title. Chuck
Invasion
Norris.
USA.
Invasion USA was a good one.
There's Mission. Missing in Action.
Missing in Action was
Okay.
was the one I really liked. I remember watching that as a kid. And of
Yeah,
course,
those were good.
his appearance in Expendables. I mean, that was
a highlight of
the
that
highlight of that
series.
yes.
And how he kind of poked fun at the whole Chuck Norris thing. And his name in Expendables is a reference to past roles that he's done.
Right.
And of course, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but it's a lot of references to his early work in action
could
flicks.
go-
And
Delta Force was
Delta
another-
Force.
that was a
Code of
big one.
Silence
Yeah.
was great.
He
Code of
was
Silence, yeah.
right up there with Schwarzenegger and Stallone in the 80s, man.
Oh,
He-
yeah.
He put out
Yeah,
some
that
awesome
was-
action flicks.
Yeah, I was a big action freak when I was a kid, and it was like, you had Stallone, you had Schwarzenegger, you had Bruce Willis eventually, but you had
Yeah.
Chuck Norris.
I'm actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm embarrassed to admit that when we did our action episode podcast, his name did not come up. And he was one of the biggest stars in the world in the 80s.
Well, he just might send you a roundhouse kick from
I
Texas.
know. One of my favorite memes.
Reshoot.
One of my favorite memes, Chuck Norris memes, was Chuck Norris once caught all the Pokemon on a landline. I thought that was hysterical.
I think my favorite. He was on my list as well, and I think my favorite performance from him was Dodgeball.
That was.
Was he in Dodgeball?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Why
was
am
the,
I drawing a
he was the
blank on
judge,
that?
the
He
last
was a
judge.
judge.
Thank you, Chuck Norris.
He like gave the thumbs up like the meme. So again, kind of poking fun of him at himself.
That he's good at doing that. He's good at laughing at himself. Do you guys have any Chuck Norris memes off the top of your head you want to throw out?
I mean,
Chuck Norris jokes, maybe.
Yeah,
or
like
something.
those, like he
Chuck-
doesn't do push-ups. He pushes
pushes
the
the
earth
earth
down.
down.
I
Right.
love that stuff, man. I find that laugh.
Chuck Norris's tears could cure cancer, but Chuck Norris doesn't cry.
Chuck Norris once got bit by a rattlesnake. 3 days later, the rattlesnake died.
Man, that's some funny stuff. Who was the guy who came up with that?
I don't know. I
jealous,
used to
man.
have the books at home.
Probably Chuck Norris.
When I was going to the bathroom, I would sit there and read them. They're my bathroom books.
I love it. All right, so did we skip over number 3? We jumped from Bruce Lee to Chuck Norris.
That was
but I
number
think
3. We skipped over number 2. If I go back to number 2, it's another classic action star, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I thought you were going to bring
there's
him up.
so many movies of his that I love. I even love the movie that he apologized for making, Big Last Action Hero. I was thinking of the song Big Gun for a second. Last Action Hero. And I actually enjoyed Jingle All the Way as well.
What about Kindergarten Cop?
Oh yeah, that's one of the peak ones there.
Naladuma.
Twins and you know what, Conan? I have not seen Conan.
I really like Twins actually. I have fond memories as a kid. Twins.
Talk about a body of work. He's had an amazing body of work. While I look for an audio clip, keep talking.
And of course, his comeback in Expendables was great. I'm back. That joke kind of got old after a while. And what's that one he recently did?
How about
that Johnny Knoxville was in? He was a small town sheriff, and that guy was coming through the.
I have no idea.
Oh man!
Here, let me play this. This is a collection, a little clip of Arnold Schwarzenegger's best lines.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. I'll be right back.
I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. You did not gonna say that, did you?
That's what you always say.
I do.
Love that. That's hysterical.
Yes.
We also
such range.
did we say True Lies?
True Lies was great.
Oh.
And,
Sabotage.
how about Commando?
Love Commando.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
He was good in the Escape Plan.
Stick around.
Of course, the Terminators. I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah. So he was a professional bodybuilder, of course. His first film was a documentary called Pumping Iron, and that's where Hollywood took notice of him. And totally ignoring his accent, he went on to become one of the biggest stars in the history of movies. He's got to be right up there with the highest grossing actors of all time.
I think he is, and it's embarrassing to say that I actually enjoyed Hercules in New York.
Oh, yeah?
That'd be on my guilty pleasures.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to get around to that one day.
That was my number 2. And then number 4 we covered, that was Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And number 5, my number 5 is probably going to shock you all, Jason Statham.
Now, I saw online that he is or was a professional diver.
He was.
Is that
Yep,
what I saw?
Yep. He didn't. I don't know why he didn't compete in the Olympics, but he was on the British team.
Okay.
And he was a diver.
That's interesting.
Which you wouldn't think he was a diver, but
he didn't. I guess you could say he put those skills to use in The Meg, the recent shark movie that came out where they used him as shark bait.
Baby shark.
I didn't see that movie yet, but
Now, Jason Statham is one of my favorite actors. He's just great in everything he does. The only reason he didn't make my list is because of the diving thing, but I'll allow it. If he was a professional diver, that qualifies, and he's a fantastic.
I first took
action
notice in
hero.
Lock, Stock, and Smoking Barrels with him, and then in Snatch. Those roles, you don't see him play those kind of roles anymore because now he's more of an action star.
Yeah.
But Snatch, he played a vulnerable, weak man. Was going to get killed, and he had to use his brains to get out of it. And
He
caught my
enhances
my
everything
attention
he's
there.
in. I loved him in the Italian Job. I think he helped add more fuel to the Fast and Furious franchise, even though it's a little odd what they did with his character. They made him the villain in one sequel,
at the end,
and then they
yeah.
made him a good guy in the following sequel, despite the fact that he killed people in the previous movie. It's a little odd what they did with his character, but I think he was a great addition to that franchise. I just think he makes everything better that he's in.
Cranked,
yes.
That one was a weird one. Is that the one where he had to stay on the drug or he would die? That one
He had
was
to
really
get
odd,
shocked by the
man.
car.
had to have his heart rate up.
Yeah, that one made me a little uncomfortable at times when he.
Well, what about the Amy Smart scene?
Right, that's what I'm talking about. That was a little weird, but yeah, no, I love just about every. Oh, and then we didn't even mention the the driver, where he's the driver.
Oh,
He
yeah,
did, like,
Transporter.
3
Transporter. I love the
movies are
Transporter series.
fantastic.
You
man,
being a
they're
car guy, I
great.
thought you'd really enjoy those ones.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Even though the cars were like okay, but
What
'cause
other
they-
car movie
like to
was
drive
in?
the Audis.
Like the car chase.
So the Italian Job. he was
Italian
in,
Job.
and,
No.
Transporter.
It was like
Crank.
not Death Proof, but
I don't know.
nuts.
I'll have to look that up. But
Look that up later.
It was like Running Man with cars or something.
Death Race.
Death Race.
It was a
Death
remake
Race.
of the original
Yes.
Death Race movie with Sylvester Stallone in. But yeah,
and we
I
forgot
enjoyed that.
Running
yeah.
Man with Arnold, by the way. Throw that
Oh,
one in
yeah.
there too.
Yeah. I have
Total-
another
Total
actor
Recall.
coming up that was in Running Man when we
Total
get
Recall.
back to me.
Total Recall in that movie.
Yeah, there you go. Or is that your top 5, Rich?
That's my top 5, man. Dwayne
All
Rock
right.
Johnson was number 4. If I didn't mention that earlier, but
That's what I love about you guys, man. You just we're not all doing the same list, man. We all got our own take. That's what I love doing about this. Doing
Yeah,
this
and I
podcast.
love how you
I-
give me crap for.
I brought in a
all
bunch
my-
of honorable mentions. You know,
Well, we'll get
Yes.
to those in a second. Before
Yes,
we get
yes.
to our honorable mentions, I want to finish off my top 10. We'll see if we can get through them quickly. Here is number 6 on my list.
Son of a bitch is dug in like an Alabama tick.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Oh. Okay.
One of the greatest lines in any action flick. I ain't got time to bleed. Small role, but memorable role. He gets blown wide open by the Predator. And then that same year, he was in Running Man. He was one of the characters on the Running Man. I'm really amazed that he didn't go on to bigger and better things in the movies. He went into politics and became the governor of Minnesota. But I thought he was a fantastic action star, and I would love to have seen him parlay that into a career in action flicks. But that was pretty much it. He did a couple of memorable roles in the 80s, and that was it. Moved into politics. And then
it was Jesse the Body Ventura, by the way. If
he had
anybody's
a,
listening doesn't know
WWE.
Joe's
he
talking
had
about.
He had a TV show too.
Briefly.
After he was the governor, about like conspiracy theories and
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, it was on History Channel or something.
like that. Yeah.
Now this next number 7 on my list, Hall of Fame NFL running back for the Cleveland Browns. He was great in The Dirty Dozen, but I actually prefer him in this role.
You okay? Where you hit it?
In my foot. Oh my God. They shot me in my bunion, man. Man, I can't go on.
Do you guys remember that at all? I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, with Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Absolutely.
Hilarious movie. Laugh out loud funny. Love Jim Brown in that. Like I said, he was great in The Dirty Dozen. I think he also had a role in Mars Attacks.
He did.
But
And the Running Man.
The Running Man.
was he in The Running Man too?
Mhm.
Yeah. He's a pretty fine actor. Had some memorable roles in movies. Any thoughts on Jim Brown?
I agree.
I allow it.
No, I mean he's been a lot more than you think.
Yes.
Wasn't
he Hightower? No.
No.
that
That
was
was
somebody
Bubba
else.
Smith.
Bubba Smith. Yeah.
But yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. He's been in a lot more than you would think. I think he did a great job. He maybe should have not retired and just kept playing a little bit longer, but
Yeah.
no, he did a great job. He's a good actor.
Here is the next up on my list, number 8. Here's the one and only Detroit Lion on my list.
I wonder what clip you picked.
Mongo only pawn in game of life.
Mongo from Blazing Saddles, Alex Karras.
Alex Karras.
Number 8. Again, one and done. I think that's the only. No, he did TV.
Webster.
Webster.
Yeah,
he
he
did
did
Webster on
Webster.
TV, but he had that one memorable role in Blazing Saddles as
Very
Mongo.
memorable role.
And number 9 on my list, Terry Bradshaw came up earlier. I loved him in Cannonball Run, and he had a memorable role in Hooper. I know he's done some other things. There was some hot tub scene in some movie that came out
He was
recently.
in Failure to Launch where he showed his booty.
Glad I missed
Booty
that
time,
movie.
booty time.
Across the
He was
USA.
also what movie? He was just in another one where he played
Booty
himself.
time, booty
Though.
time.
The
Hey.
two brothers are trying to find their dad. I think Owen
Oh
Wilson.
yeah. That was he actually did a really good
That was a
job.
pretty good job in that.
It was Ed Helms and
Yeah.
Yeah. He was actually really funny in that.
I would have liked to have seen him do more acting stuff. I thought he was great in on screen. I thought he did a great job. And then rounding out my top 10.
The ultimate male versus the ultimate meatball.
Hulk Hogan in Rocky 3 as Thunder Lips, a career-making move on Terry Bollea's part, made Hulk Hogan a household name. Apparently, he had gotten fired by Vince McMahon for doing that
Vince
movie.
McMahon Sr.
The senior, okay.
Yes.
And but the movie made him a star and helped make the WWE what it is today.
That's it wasn't long after that the juniors like bringing in pop culture.
Yeah. Now he did continue his movie career with roles in was it?
Forgettable Suburban Commando.
Suburban Commando. And
Forget about it.
Wasn't there like The Nanny? I think was on that.
Had some forgettable movies.
But I'm going to focus on his performance in Rocky 3.
Right.
The way that all played out, where it was just supposed to be an exhibition. And Rocky's like, oh, let's have some fun. And the Hulk Hogan starts beating the crap out of him. So
Right.
Rocky takes the gloves off and starts tearing him up. And when Rocky lifts him up and throws him out of the ring, I think is one of the greatest movie moments of all time, man. That
It's
just
like the
makes it-
equivalent of Hulk Hogan body slamming Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3.
Exactly. Turning the tables, throwing him out of the ring. Your thoughts, Ryan, on Hulk Hogan in Rocky 3?
Never seen it.
Wait a minute, weren't you
That
a
was
couple
one of your
weeks
greatest
ago?
trilogies of all time.
Oh,
Dude,
oh,
you get
oh,
hit in the
yeah,
head
yeah.
since then.
No, why'd you get so crazy out there? No, I thought it was a great
Polaroid.
character. It is on my list also. Definitely did a great job as Thunder Lips, and we can forget the rest of them. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if he doesn't do the rest of them, we don't have the Rock today. So
Maybe.
There you go. All right. I have a couple of honorable mentions,
Tooth
but we'll
Fairy.
get to them in a moment. Ryan, what's the rest of your top 5? Or top 10, I
Was
should
like
say.
the rest of my top 5. Well, you touched on some of them. I do have Bob Uecker.
yes,
That's a good one.
Yes, absolutely. Harry Doyle, just a bit outside.
That was which
Major League.
Major League. I was going to say League of Their Own, but that's not right. Yeah, that was that line, just a bit outside. That's a that might be one of the greatest movie lines of all time.
It was great. And he's hilarious in it. Rich, you kind of mentioned this earlier. Police Academy with Bubba Smith.
Bubba
I thought
Smith, yeah.
Bubba Smith did a great job with that as well. And then I'm gonna go ahead and throw out Vinnie Jones.
yes, soccer player.
Yeah,
Yep.
he played soccer.
What did he do in
He was in
films?
X-Men, and
He was my
in
number 9.
Swordfish, Gone in 60 Seconds.
All right, I'm drawing a blank. So he was a soccer player turned
Sorry?
actor.
Yes, he was.
Interesting.
You know who he is.
Oh, I'd recognize him if I saw him, yeah.
Yeah, here you go. There's a picture of him right here for you.
So, and then the rest are some honorable mentions, and then I have also a short list of worst performances ever that we can get to if we have time.
Rich, any others on your top 10 you want to throw out?
Sure. You know, number 6 would be a Michigan native, Terry Crews. And I enjoyed his little brief moment in Deadpool 2, and then, of course, other movies like The Expendables. And
What's his athletic history? What did he do?
played football.
Pro football?
Yep.
All right.
Pro football.
Who?
Cool.
I wasn't listening.
Terry
Terry
Crew?
Crews.
Oh,
I think he played for I want to say a couple of teams he played for. I can't remember all of them.
yeah, he definitely was a pro.
He's on the that TV show too, right? The
it
Adam
Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
or Andy. Yeah.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah,
What is your
Andy
favorite
Samberg.
movie moment of his?
Oh, his brief stint in Deadpool 2 was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was.
That's yours.
He's not on my list. Don't look at me.
For me,
I've seen a lot of his TVs.
I think he did a great job in Blended.
I didn't see that movie.
He was the comic relief guy in Blended, and I think he was pretty funny.
Loved him in Expendables, of course.
But I think his most iconic role, and I can even narrow it down to a scene, and that's White Chicks.
I didn't see that movie.
I never saw that one either.
You've seen the meme where he's singing the song, and he's like, "Dun, dun, 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 dun," and he looks over at which one of the Wayans actually, but just iconic. And anybody that's seen that movie knows that. And whenever that song comes on, Everybody does it.
Everybody does it. The cheeseburger Eddie, was that his name in Longest Yard?
Okay. Yep. There were a lot of athletes in that movie. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Andre Giant was my number 7, and Carl Weathers number 8. Vinny Jones was number 9, and Bubba Smith was my number 10.
Hey, just to throw it out there real quick, Terry Crews also is an interior designer who makes furniture.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's got many talents.
It does.
And makes the most entertaining, annoying commercials for Old Spice.
Oh, geez, I hate those. Man, those are awful. I got a couple of honorable mentions. I have a couple of audio clips here. Here's an instance of a athlete carrying an entire movie. A lot of the actors on my list had cameos or small roles. Here's a athlete actor that carried an entire movie. Here's a line from that movie.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Great line, classic line. Rowdy Roddy Piper and They Live. Very underrated sci-fi / horror movie. Great action flick. Again, I'm surprised that he wasn't able to parlay that into a film career. I thought he did a fantastic job in They Live. Ryan, did you ever see They Live?
I love They Live.
Yeah.
First time I saw alien boobies.
Richie, you remember They Live?
I thought it was one of the best fight scenes ever.
Oh, and I'll also throw this out. I hated Rowdy Piper because I was a Hogan guy.
Oh, right.
And when I saw They Live, like I was like, Rowdy Piper. And then after the movie, I was like, all right, I kind of like Rowdy now. And I actually started kind of being a fan of his on the WWF.
Yeah, it's strange. Not long after that, his career kind of went downhill.
Yeah.
Like he didn't pop. I don't think he popped in another movie.
I saw him in person at the Motor City Comic Con, and then he died like a week later. That was really sad. But yeah, I would like to have seen him do more in movies. Here's another audio clip. This is more of a cameo.
Hey! Yeah, Dan? You have any more of that gum? That's none of your damn business, and I'll thank you to stay out of my personal affairs. You're a weird guy, Ace. Weird guy.
That is Dan Marino in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Any memories of Dan Marino and Ace Ventura?
He's on my list.
Which list?
The worst.
And I got one more clip to play. If I had a worst performance list, this would be in it. I have a feeling it might be on yours. Let me play the clip.
Brett?
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass.
Brett Favre in Something About Mary. Hilarious cameo, but the man is not an actor.
He's on my list.
All right, I'm dying. We got a couple minutes here. I want to hear your worst performance list. I'm pretty much done here.
You just took 2 of them. I also have Mike Tyson in The Hangover. Although I like it and I thought it was funny, and I think it's great that he like played the piano and then socked Zach Galifianakis in the face. So I love the character, but his acting is just so awful. I also did not enjoy Dennis Rodman in the movie Double Team with
Never saw that one, but yeah.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Awful. Now this, I have one that's kind of it's both. It could be on both lists because I thought he absolutely sucked, and then he did another role and he was really good, and that's Shaquille O'Neal, who again I can't stand, and he did Kazam, and Kazam was awful.
Yes,
awful, worst list. And then he came back with Grown Ups recently, and Grown Ups 2 is actually what he was in.
He did pretty good in Blue Chips.
Yeah, he was pretty good. He was all right, but that wasn't, I don't know, not much of a role. Kind of was his life sort of thing, right?
Right.
So, but Grown Ups 2, when he was the police officer, I thought he was absolutely hysterical. So another great, great little cameo performance. There. That's all I got really for worst. I mean, I could throw Jordan in there with Space Jam, but I actually like that movie.
Yeah, I'm surprised that none of you guys have brought that up. Here, let me play a little clip from Space Jam.
I think we should forfeit.
Yeah. Listen, I didn't get dragged down here just to get my butt whipped by a bunch of ugly monsters. I ain't going out like that. We're letting them push us around. We gotta fight them back. We gotta take it to them. We gotta get right in their faces. And what do you say? Are you with me or not?
I really thought that one of you guys would have had Jordan on your list.
I did.
Did not see any movie he was in.
You've never seen Space Jam?
No, I've never seen Space Jam.
I think I've seen it a couple of times, but it's not one of those movies that spoke to me.
What? I don't even know you people anymore. It's got Bill Murray in it. That alone should get you in the seat.
That probably turned me off.
You know what I thought was interesting? I looked at the trailer earlier in Space Jam, and I looked at the trailer, and they featured more dialogue from Bill Murray than they did Michael Jordan, and I thought that was funny.
That's because Bill Murray is an amazing actor who had great lines and was hysterical in that movie. And Jordan was just because he's a great athlete in the sport.
And I'm actually surprised you didn't bring up another one, Ryan. I'm gonna bring this up in a second. Rich, go ahead and do your thing because
I'm actually shocked you didn't bring this guy up, Joe. Johnny Westmiller.
Oh, Tarzan.
Yeah, Olympic gold winner.
I thought about adding him to my list. Not the most amazing actor, but it was Tarzan. I mean, how articulate do you have to be?
And then he swam with Esther Williams, another person I thought you'd bring up in your list.
Love Esther Williams.
I love my mom always made me watch that one movie where they did in the pool, the famous scene or whatever, the choreographed, and I had to see that 8,000 times.
Yeah. And was the one she did, Neptune's Daughter, I think, was one of my favorites. Yeah.
And then nobody mentioned Lou Ferrigno.
What? He didn't do a lot of movies, did he?
It might have just been the TV. I could be.
No, he was in I Love You, Man.
Yeah, there you go.
As Lou Ferrigno.
Hercules. He was a Hercules. Too.
Hercules.
He was Hercules.
Ryan, I got this clip queued up just for you. I thought this was going to make your list. I'm hoping I have this queued up correctly where I'm not going to catch any swear words. Let's see here.
Billy.
Shut up, man.
Billy.
Shut up!
Billy, listen to me.
What?
White men can't jump.
I thought for sure that was going to be on your list.
Who's the athlete there?
Wesley Snipes was a pro martial artist.
Oh.
But was he before he was an actor?
That was before he was an actor.
Okay,
yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Thought for sure that was going to be on your list. That's your all-time favorite movie ever or something.
Greatest comedy. I mean, if I didn't realize Wesley Snipes was a professional athlete. And I know Woody's not.
So I'm actually surprised, Joe, you also didn't put Buster Crabbe? Flash Gordon?
Crabbe.
Flash Gordon.
That's going way back. You know that we usually stick to movies in our lifetime.
And of course, Kurt Russell.
Seth with 90 movies. Now, what did Kurt Russell do as an
athlete? He was in the California Angels minor league system.
Okay.
Played down there, and then he got injured.
I didn't see his name come up on many lists, but I mean, you can't argue his body of work. All right, that was a fun talk, guys.
It's over already?
It is over.
Over?
So let's play the music, get out of here, and we will see you next time.
Harry Doyle
Movies
signing off
for Dumb Guy.